Ever wonder what it takes to perform at your absolute best when everything is on the line? Well, we're going to dive deep into the minds of the true champions of concentration and unlock the science behind their incredible focus. Yeah, that's the feeling, right? The moment when the rest of the world just disappears. It's that peak state we're all chasing, where you can do the impossible. But really, how do we get there? All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll meet the pros. Then we'll get into the science, look at how to train your attention, talk about that ultimate goal, flow, and finally, we'll uncover the real secret. It all comes down to balance. Ready? Let's do this. Okay, first up, the high-stakes mind. We're going to meet some champions who literally depend on their focus to win. So first, let's talk about Angelina Kohler. She's an Olympic swimmer. For her, we're talking about victory measured in fractions of a second. I mean, think about it. When she's on that starting block, it's just her versus the clock. One tiny lapse in concentration, that's the difference between a gold medal and going home empty-handed. Everything has to just go silent. And then there's Jan-Peter Konopinski. He's training to be an air traffic controller. His workspace? The entire sky. Talk about high stakes. They literally could not be higher. He's responsible for so many lives, and his mind is the command center, juggling dozens of things at once just to keep everyone safe. And our third champion is Dennis Schulte, or Danino, as he's known. He's a pro esports player. Now, his battlefield might be virtual, but let me tell you, the mental demands are absolutely real. This guy makes hundreds of decisions in milliseconds. His brain's processing speed is literally his greatest weapon. It's like a mental sprint that goes on for hours. So the big question is, how on earth do they do it? That leads us right into our next section, the science of focus. We're going to take a look inside the concentrating brain. So what even is concentration? Well, according to neuroscientist Henning Beck, it's basically the ability to block stuff out. Think of it like this. Your brain is constantly getting hit with a storm of information, right? Sights, sounds, everything. Concentration is the bouncer at the door of your mind, deciding what gets in and what stays out. So here's what's actually happening inside your head. First, your prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the CEO of your brain. It gets to work, planning and controlling things. Then your neurons start communicating like crazy, way more intensely. And to top it all off, you get a little hit of dopamine. That's the feel-good chemical that basically tells your brain, hey, this is important, keep doing this. Okay, now this next part is a total game changer. Neuroscientist Henning Beck points out that our brains are not built for a focus marathon. Nope. They're built for sprints. Concentration is basically always just a short, intense burst. I mean, that changes how you think about it, right? It changes everything. All right, so if focus is really just a series of sprints, then how do we get better at them? How do we train? That brings us perfectly to our third section, how to train attention. Let's look at some practical techniques from the pros. You know one thing all our champions have in common? Routine. Seriously, from Angelina the swimmer to Jan-Peter the air traffic controller, they all live by highly structured days. And the reason is simple. Routines put all the boring familiar tasks on autopilot. That way you save up all your precious brain energy for the stuff that really matters.
All right, but what about trying to do it all at once, multitasking? Let me ask you, are you really multitasking? Come on, be honest with yourself.
Yeah, here's the thing. The science is totally clear on this. You're not multitasking, you're task switching. And every single time you switch, you pay this little hidden price. It's called the switching cost. Think of it like a tiny mental tax that just drains your energy and makes you way less efficient. This breaks it down perfectly. Here's what you think is happening. You're a genius doing two complex things at the same time. But here's what's really happening. Your brain is just switching back and forth super fast. It's like trying to watch two of your favorite TV shows by flipping the channel every 5 seconds. You're going to miss stuff, you're going to get confused, and you're going to make more mistakes. That, right there, is your brain on multitasking. And get this is kind of wild. Your brain only makes up about 2% of your body weight, but it's an absolute energy hog. It burns through 20% of your body's total energy. That's why all that task switching is so exhausting. And it's exactly why strategic breaks, like the ones Jan-Peter has to take, aren't just a nice little luxury. They are absolutely essential for refueling the most powerful and hungriest organ you've got. Okay, so let's take this to the next level. Let's talk about the peak state of concentration. This is section 4, the ultimate goal, flow. This is where focus stops being hard work and actually becomes effortless.
So what exactly is flow? Well, psychology professor Corinna Pfeiffer defines it as this amazing state where you are just completely immersed in what you're doing. The activity isn't too easy, it's not too hard, it's perfectly challenging. You know that feeling, right? Where time just melts away and you are completely in the zone? That's flow.
So, what's going on in your brain when this happens? Well, it's basically shifting gears. Your brain waves actually change. You go from that normal high alert state to a state of deep, focused relaxation. And that part of your brain that's always self criticizing and overthinking everything, the prefrontal cortex, it just quiets down. You stop thinking about it and you just do it.
And if you want to know what that actually feels like, well, Angelina puts it perfectly. She says, it's as if the pieces of a puzzle that have always belonged together are coming together. I'm in the right place at the right time. Wow. It's not just focus anymore, is it? It's harmony.
So, how do we get there? What's the real secret? That brings us to our final and maybe most important section, the power of balance. This really is the true key to a focused mind.
All right, let's wrap this all up. So, what have we learned? First, concentration is a skill, and you can train it. Second, it's all about short sprints, not a marathon. We also know that routines and breaks are absolutely essential for saving that brain power. But I think the biggest takeaway, the real secret here, is that mastering focus isn't just about forcing it. It's about finding the balance between that intense concentration and just letting your mind wander. So at the end of the day, the secret to focus isn't brute force. It's balance. It's the rhythm between the sprint and the rest, between being totally engaged and letting yourself daydream. And that leaves us with one final question for you. Are you giving your mind both?